Hello and welcome to Little's Lab. My name is Kim. I am a community learning specialist with DoSpace, and all month long for Little's Lab we've been learning about experiments, doing experiments, and kind of learning about what they are and how they work. So today we are going to be doing a really fun experiment with a balloon, some baking soda, and a little bit of vinegar. So you can't tell, it kind of looks like water, right? We'll talk about that. But yeah, so we're gonna be doing a fun experiment with just some simple things that you probably have around the house and that you could absolutely and very easily do yourself with your grown-ups. So my first question for you is, like I said, our theme this month is let's do experiments. And what is an experiment? Do you know what an experiment is? And how do you do them? Yeah, so a lot of times when people think of experiments, you might think of like scientists. A lot of times scientists do experiments to solve a problem or to find out something new or to kind of see what happens. And so that's basically what an experiment is to do something to answer a question. So you might answer an experiment might be simply asking what happens if I mix these two things together, what will happen? And then, so you have that question of like, what will happen if I do this? Or how can I get to this answer? And a lot of times people, not only will they do experiments by asking questions, but they'll make guesses as to, what they think will happen. So for example, if your question is, if I mix these two things together, like maybe the question is, if I mix chocolate sauce and applesauce together, will it taste good or will it taste bad? So that might be your question. What if I mix these two things together, applesauce and chocolate sauce? And so you might have a guess as to, will that taste good? So some people might guess, I bet that will taste delicious. And there might be people that will think, nope, applesauce and chocolate sauce, no way, things don't go together. They will not taste good. And so, you might do that experiment and then find the answer for yourself, because your answer might be a little bit different than my answer, right? I might think it tastes awful and you might think it might taste delicious. But that's kind of the fun part of experiments. It's just asking a question and then maybe making a guess. And those guesses are called a hypothesis. So if you make a hypothesis, you make a guess. So those are just some things that we're going to be doing today. So today we're going to be doing an experiment where we mix some stuff together, and then I want you to make a hypothesis as to what will happen when we mix these two things together for our balloon. So yeah, so perfect. So let's get started for today. I always like to start out our Little's Lab with our calendar, because our calendar, it's so good to look at a calendar. It helps us with our days of the week and our month and numbers, and I really like this calendar because it helps us explore our world too, which is so important, and learn new things about our world. So I'm going to share my screen with you really quickly. Just a second. We're going to make sure the right screen is up. Oh. Okay, let's do it right now. Perfect. Okay, so hopefully you should see on your screen some of the same things as my screen. So this is the very beginning of our calendar, and it doesn't look like a calendar, right? It'll start to look like a calendar in just a moment. But if we were in the building doing Little's Lab, we have a great big touchscreen, like monitor, touchscreen computer screen, that I would always ask my friends to come up and kind of help move our website along. Now I know we can't do that because we can't be in the building, but I want you to pretend. Can you pretend with me? And so I want you to help me along and to move our screen along. So this is what I want you to do. For example, you should see a big white triangle right in the middle of your screen. So can you touch that big right triangle for me in 3, 2, 1, go. Did your screen change? Nice. So yeah, so you should see the month that we're in right here. That's our first word. And then this is the year that we're in, this big number. So I want to start out with our month because I want to talk about this letter right here. What is this letter? What's the very first letter that are in our month? And it makes the j j j sound. And so we have a lot of months that make this sound that start with this letter. There's January, and their last month was June. But do we know what this letter is for this month? Is it our letter J? Yeah, that's right. It is our letter J. And it is J for, do you know what our month is called that starts with our letter J? We are in the month of July. So this is our month that we're in. We're in the month of July. And then this big number right here is the year that we're in. So 2020 is 2020. Pretty big number, right? Okay, let's move along. So you should see a green arrow. Let's touch that green arrow in 3, 2, 1, go. Nice. Now it should look like a calendar, right? So we have our month and our year right up here. And then right at the, underneath that, you should see our days of the week. And it is so important to know our days of the week, right? Because we repeat our days of the week every month all year long. So it is so important to know our days of the week. So let's say them all together, shall we? How about we say them all together and you say them with whoever you're with and I'm going to say them with you. Sound good? Okay, let's start with Sunday. So there's Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Perfect. Now, do you know what today's day of the week is? Do we know what today's is? It comes after Monday and is before Wednesday. Our day of the week is Tuesday. That is right. Today is Tuesday. Can you touch our Tuesday, our golden Tuesday for us? Go ahead and touch it in 3, 2, 1, go. Excellent. So now you can see all of our Tuesdays of this month. So yeah, so today is Tuesday. That's our day of the week. Our month is called July. And then this number is our date today. And that's a pretty big number, right? And maybe you've learned how to count up to this number, maybe you haven't, and either way is great. And so when our number is pretty big, so this consists of two numbers, right? So there's our first number is our number 2, and then our second number is our number 1. And when a 2 is in front of a 1, or maybe like this, that number is 21. So today is the 21st day of July. It's July 21st. And then our year is 2020. Excellent. Okay, so we're gonna touch that green arrow again. Oh, I might have clicked past it before you could touch it. That's okay. So what we're gonna do is we need to put our Tuesday where it needs to go in our days of the week and our 21st day of the, our 21st of July back in the calendar. So let's touch and drag this where it needs to go in our day of the week. Nice, that's where our Tuesday goes. And let's do the same with our 21 or our 21st day of July. Let's move that right down there. Perfect. Okay, we just need to touch this green arrow one more time in 3, 2, 1, go. Excellent. Okay, so yeah, like I said before, I like this calendar because it helps with so many things, but it also kind of it gives little pictures or icons on days that are celebrated. And a lot of times they give days that might be celebrated outside of the country that I live in, at least the United States. And you might be watching from the United States, but maybe you're watching from somewhere outside of the United States in a different country. So I like this because it will show some, not all, but some holidays and festivals and fun days that are celebrated outside the United States. And a very good example of that is the very first day of July, on Wednesday, July 1st. And you should see this red maple leaf, and that is because it is for Canada Day. So Canada is the country directly above or north of the United States. So if you were to look at a map and you found the United States, and you kind of put your finger straight above, that would be Canada. They're north of us, or just above us. And so, yeah, and so that is Canada Day celebrates the day that, so Canada has provinces, just like we have states. Like I live in the state of Nebraska. Well, maybe you live in the state of Nebraska, maybe you live in a different state. But instead of states, Canada has provinces. They're like states, but they're just called something a little bit different. And so Canada Day is to celebrate when all these provinces came together to become one country called Canada. So that is the celebration of Canada Day. And then on Saturday, July 4th, was I bet you know this one, the 4th of July. That's right, or our Independence Day for the United States. So that's the day where several of our, that were called colonies, but they turned out to be states. They ended up being states. And that's when all these colonies or states became the country of the United States, kind of like Canada Day. So it was a little bit very similar. And then outside of that, we don't have another holiday until Friday, July 31st, our very last day of July. And that is when Eid al-Adha is celebrated. And that is that's a day that is celebrated for people in the Muslim community. If people or Islamic community, so if you are Muslim, then you will probably celebrate Eid al-Adha. And so, yeah, that is a holiday for most people that are of the Islamic religion. So yeah, so my next question for you is birthdays, because everybody has a birthday, right? I have a birthday and you have a birthday, but do we always have a birthday in the month that we're in? No. Like right now, I don't have a birthday in July. My birthday's not for a few months. And you may not have a birthday in July, but maybe you do. So let me know in the chat if you have a birthday in July. Let me know if you're in Zoom with us, if you have a birthday in July. And if you don't, that's okay. So I'm not saying any, but I'm gonna put a birthday cake on Friday, July 17th, because that was the birthday of somebody really special to me, my daughter's birthday. So she turned 1 year old. She turned one on Friday, July 17th. So I'm going to put a piece of cake on that day for her. Perfect. Okay, friends. Well, I think we are done with our calendar. So I am going to stop sharing that. And so let's get to talking about our experiments. So I'm going to read a story really quickly. And it's not necessarily about our experiments, but it's about balloons because we're using a balloon, right? And what we're going to be, a lot of times I have some other balloons, and I wonder how many of you guys like balloons, right? Balloons are a lot of fun, and you can do so many fun things with them. And sometimes they're just fun to have, but like when they're in this state, they're not so fun, right? They're not so much fun. I mean, you could probably do some things with them, but they're not a lot of fun. It's a lot more fun when they're blown up, right? When we take a big deep breath and we go, oh, and I just filled up my balloon. But my question for you is, what's it filled up with? What is in this balloon that now it is so much bigger, right? What is in this balloon? Is it water? Did I fill it up with water? Oh, I didn't fill it up with water. What about, did I fill it up with spaghetti? No, I didn't fill it up with spaghetti. What is in this? What is in this? Let's see if anything comes out when I let go. So right now I have this end pinched, so whatever's in doesn't get out, right? And so I'm going to let go. I'm going to kind of hold one side so it doesn't go flying, but I'm going to let go, and we're going to see if we can see anything come out of our balloon. Did you see anything come out of it? No, I didn't either. What was in there? What do you think? Well, if you said there was like air in there, you were right. There was air or gas. So basically, the carbon dioxide from my lungs, because we breathe in oxygen, right? We exhale carbon dioxide, but we can't see that stuff, right? Like we have air and gases all around us all the time, but we can't see it because they're so small. But we know it's there because we can feel our lungs go, fill up. We can feel our lungs, breathe out. And that's the same with the balloon. We know that there's stuff in this balloon because we can see it get filled up with air, even though you can't physically see the air that's inside. So that's why I like balloons, because you can fill them up with other things, right? Like in the summer, you might be filling them up with water and making water balloons and having water balloon fights with your siblings or parents, because that's a lot of fun. I love to do that. But I was blowing it up with air. So we're gonna read a story about a little boy who's Ben, and he has a balloon, and he is going up, 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 and he's going to go on an adventure with this balloon. Because have you ever had a balloon that just stayed floating in the air? Because, like, for example, if I tied a knot so that I kept the air inside, sometimes that's tricky. Maybe we'll do a quick experiment right now before our story. So I have my balloon, and maybe we're going to see when I let go, will this balloon float and go up, or will it drop or go down? So this is where your hypothesis will come into play, your guess. So my question for you is, when I let go of our balloon, will it go up or will it drop down? And I want you to talk about the hypothesis or your guess as to what will happen. Let's see. I'm going to drop it in 3, 2, 1. It fell. Oh, and there goes my balloon. So my balloon dropped because the kind of air that comes from my lungs doesn't allow it to float. But have you ever had a balloon that floated before? I bet you have. And that's because it's filled with a special kind of gas or air called helium. And helium allows it to float. But my lungs aren't full of helium, unfortunately. So we're gonna read a story that is called Come Back, Ben. And we are going to see what kind of adventure Ben goes on. So let me share my screen with you one more time. Perfect. So we are going to be reading our story called Come Back, Ben by Anne Hassett and John Hassett. So let's see what kind of adventure Ben goes on. So Ben had a balloon. He has a big, what color of balloon is this? It's a big red balloon. Yep, Ben had a big red balloon. And Ben's balloon went up. And bye, Ben, said his sister. So look, this is little Ben right up there. And then we have his little sister right down there. So have you ever floated up with your balloon? Yeah, you might be too heavy for your balloon to float you up. But this is a fun adventure, right? So Ben's balloon went up. And come back, Ben, said his window. Look, his window's like saying, come back. And Ben's balloon went up. And the bees said, come back, Ben. So all these little bees are floating around him, flying around him, and they're saying, come back. So where do you think Ben's going to go? Ben's balloon went up. Come back, Ben, said the tree. So, so many people and things are concerned about Ben. Ben's balloon went up. And come back, Ben, said the kite. So the kite and the bee and the tree and the window are all wanting Ben to come back. Ben's balloon kept going up. It went up. Come back, Ben, said the big hill. So even the big hill is saying, come back. Ben's balloon went up. It says, come back, Ben, said the rain. And come back, Ben, said the rainbow. So the rain and the rainbow are also saying to come back. Ben's balloon went up to the moon. Hi, Ben, said the moon. So the moon's not saying to come back, right? He said hi. Or it said hi. So Ben put moon rocks in his pockets. Man, Ben, it took a lot of moon rocks, right? From that moon. And after he got all the moon rocks, goodbye, Ben, said the moon. And then Ben's balloon went down. Because what did he put in his pockets? Those rocks, right? And it started to weigh him down. Now he's heavier. So the balloon can't hold him, can't lift him up because he's too heavy with those rocks in his pocket. And it went down past the rainbow and past the rain and past the big hill and past the kite and past the tree and past the bees and the window. Ben's balloon went up again. Bye, balloon, said Ben. Where do you think that balloon's going? Bye, Ben, said his sister. So now his sister's gonna go on a fun adventure. Yeah, so I bet your balloon, if you've ever had a balloon filled with helium that lifted up, I bet it was probably not strong enough to lift you up like Ben or his sister, but that would be really cool to have an adventure like that, wouldn't it? Absolutely. But just like their balloon, they must have a really strong gas in there that we don't know about that lets them lift up small kiddos like you guys. Yeah, perfect. So friends, we are going to get started with our experiment today. So like I said, an experiment is when we try and answer a question. Maybe it's to find out something new, or maybe it's just to find out what happens. And then we might give a guess or hypothesis as to what will happen when you do it. So my example, right, was the chocolate and the applesauce. Will that taste good? And some people might guess it won't, and some people might guess it will. So my next question for you is, what happens when you mix two things together? So I have in this little bottle, I have some vinegar. Have you ever maybe not played with vinegar? You don't want to play with vinegar, but I bet your grown-ups have some vinegar around the house. And if you ever smelled it, it's kind of stinky. It doesn't smell really great. It's kind of a stinky liquid, but it looks like water, right? But it's not, it's vinegar. So you might use this in cooking or cleaning. And what we're gonna do is we are gonna mix some vinegar with some baking soda. So we are gonna see what happens when I mix this vinegar with some baking soda. But the thing is, I could probably pour in the baking soda but I've tried it. You don't really see what happens very well. So what we're gonna do is to help us see what really happens when we mix these two together. I have this balloon. I have a little balloon, and it is, you can't see it, but I already have inside some baking soda. So I have some baking soda already inside our balloon. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to attach the balloon, the very end of the balloon, to the rim of our bottle, just like this. And just a second, hopefully I don't spill it on me. Let me see if I can do this without busting our balloon. There we go. Okay. So this is what we're going to do. I have our balloon and I have it attached, and on the count of three, I'm going to pull this up so it's standing straight up, and we're going to see what happens when we mix our baking soda, which is inside our balloon, and our vinegar. And so I want you guys to guess what will happen. What do you think will happen when I mix these two things? What do you think? I want you to give a guess or a hypothesis to the people that you're with. What do you think will happen? Do you think maybe nothing will happen? Do you think our balloon will pop? Do you think it will, I don't know. Who knows what will happen? We'll have to find out. So I want you guys to give a guess with who you're with. We're gonna see what happens with our balloon. So you guys ready? I'm gonna hold down, and we're gonna, on the count of three. 1, 2, 3. Oh my goodness. So you can kind of see what's happening inside the bottle. Did you see what happened? Did it fill up with so many bubbles? There were so many bubbles. Not only that though, what happened to our balloon? We were able, let me kind of zoom out a little bit. our balloon filled up, right? Just like when I blew into it with the air from my lungs, our balloon filled up with air, gas. And how did that happen, do you think? You can kind of still see the bubbles happening, right? And that is because, how many of you guessed? There's a question. How many of you guessed that the balloon was going to fill up with air? How many of you guessed that? And this is a pretty fun experiment that you could do at home. And that is, it filled up with air because when we mixed our baking soda and our vinegar, what happened was a chemical reaction. So basically, when you guys do this at home, you're gonna become scientists, which is pretty cool, right? It's because you don't have to have a fancy degree. You can just do fun things like this and be a scientist at home. And so what happened was a chemical reaction. They reacted together, right? And so when that happened, it created a gas. And so the same gas that I blew out of my lungs to fill up this balloon, carbon dioxide, was the same gas that was created to fill up this balloon. So the same kind of gas filled up this balloon. And so now if you needed an easy way, because it's a pretty easy way, if you wanted a fun and easy way to fill up a balloon, because sometimes it's hard to fill up balloons with just your lungs, right? You gotta go, and it can be tricky. This is a really fun way, and you can practice some science and do a lot of other things. So like, let's see, I'm gonna take out, so now, should we see if we see anything like we did before? Can we see the gas? Let's see if we can see the gas coming out like we did before. Nope, we can't see the gas coming out because it's just some carbon dioxide, which we can't see. But yeah, that's a pretty fun experiment to do. So hopefully that is something that you guys can do at home with your grown-ups, and maybe try some other things. Like I read that maybe you're supposed to add a few drops of water. What happens if you add some water? What happens if you add food coloring? What do you think will happen then? How big do you think you should fill your balloon? So this was just like basically half a cup of vinegar, and then I don't know, a couple of tablespoons I filled a couple of tablespoons. But like, what if you added more vinegar and less baking soda? What if you added more baking soda and less vinegar? What will happen then? There's so many different experiments that you can do with just this one little guy. So many fun things that you can do and practice and hypothesize with. So excellent. Well, friends, thank you so much for joining me for Little's Lab today to do this experiment with me with a balloon. And join me next week. I think next Tuesday was going to be our last Tuesday of the month. So it'll be our last week that we are doing experiments for Little's Lab. So I hope to see you then. Talk to you later. Have a good day. Bye.